Garden Report is brought to you by Prize Picks and the Game Time app.
Hey, Barry Manning here. Welcome to the Garden Report. After the Celtics rolled over the Pistons and led by as many as 30 in the fourth quarter here without Jason Tatum, without Sam Hauser, it didn't matter again. The Celtics took advantage of their 4 days off leading up to this. Rusty start, but end up behind Pritchard shooting, White shooting, dominating the Pistons in the second half and sitting their starters with about 6 minutes left in this one. I also found this to be a pretty good Porzingis game. Didn't shoot great from three again, Noah, but looks more in sync, looks more involved. They ran a lot of stuff through him in this game. And in the double big lineups, he becomes all the more important because he's the one out shooting, he's the one passing to the other non-shooting big man. And there were a lot of great moments in this game of him passing back and forth between Cornet, doing some high-low actions with Jaylen Brown, and looking just that much closer to being himself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've said it before, but I really think it's one of his special talents is being able to come back from injury, regardless of what it is, regardless of how much time he's missed. It's been pretty seamless. Like, I know he has said that he doesn't necessarily feel like he's 100%, but to be able to perform like this on a nightly basis offensively and then defensively, you can just tell his very presence is deterring guys at the rim, whether it's they're missing because of it or he's altering their shots or they're just choosing not to shoot.
Here, yeah,
it's he's making a tremendous impact on both ends right now, and tonight, a night that they were down Tatum, they were down Hauser, his contributions were really important. And if like a month ago, it would have been harder to win, when he was not available.
Kristaps talked this morning at shootaround, said he's feeling in sync with teammates. It's easier to do that, given that he played with all these guys a year ago, but his conditioning still not quite there. And that's going to be the final step for us to see the full Porzingis back in action. Here's what he had to say.
Do you feel like your return's gone so far in the games you've been able to play so far? It's been the easiest part, the hardest part of coming back into the mix here?
I think the easy part is just transitioning back into playing with these guys, just because we have the same team from last season. The hard part, obviously, is just the physical aspect, to get back in that NBA rhythm. A little bit like cardio, this at the first few games, it's hard to imitate that in practice. But I feel like I'm getting there for sure, and still have a little bit way to go. But and I think that's going to show more maybe in like a little bit of precision for sure, but also just more like the offensive rebounding, more energy, like cutting, like these smaller things that will maybe not be as noticeable, but I will know that I'm doing more of those whenever I'm, and I'm really getting there. So soon, I think I'll be able to step a few levels up in how I play.
So Joe said after the game he looks pretty good. Kristaps talked after the game as well, said he probably needs a couple more games to be back where he wants to be in terms of his conditioning, wind, all that. Didn't get to do a lot of up and down in his recovery. And you see that. I thought I saw him with his hands on his knees a couple times. He played 30 minutes in this game, so ramped it up minutes-wise again here for this one. So the fact that it can get even better than this, the shooting too, I think that's going to be another step for him to be back to dominating the way he was last year. But he's pretty close.
Yeah, to me, I know he said that the things that he's going to get better at are maybe the things that are less noticeable. Just watching the Celtics team, he looks pretty good, pretty solid. And I thought that from the first game, honestly, and I don't really understand how that's possible after you miss 6 months of 5-on-5 basketball. I know he got a little bit of ramp up in there, and this was one of those returns that I know he was doing a lot of on-court work for a while. That certainly didn't rush him back. But he seems pretty close to the Porzingis that we remember from last year. The thing that stuck out to me the most last year when he joined this team was how helpful he was down the stretch in close games. I felt he was a cheat code, and this is coming off of 2023 when we had a lot of concerns about this team in the clutch. So I'm curious to see now, there's going to be some close games coming up if they're able to kind of utilize him down the stretch, whether it's drawing free throws, whether it's just serving as a decoy. But that was one of the things that off the bat, when he got traded to Boston, I felt like there was an instant impact, and we haven't had to see that yet because they haven't been that many close games. But with him back, with more games coming up, I expect that to be part of kind of his acclimation to this team.
Yeah, Luke Cornet great in this one too. Nemesh Keita, I thought, had some nice moments. They played all four of the bigs in this game to get by without Hauser and Tatum, and that's how they've done it for the most part this year. Solo, Jordan Walsh missed those 2 threes in the corner too, which stunk.
Nice dunk though.
Yeah, got a good dunk after. Peterson, more understated game than the first 2 that he broke out in, but had a nice pass to Cornet at one point. So those guys got opportunities, but tonight, and I think Joe said it after, this is a double big team when they're down bodies, and that's what they're going to use. It's their most deep position, amazingly, considering where we were at a couple years ago with that, and even going into this year. So, it's nice that they're getting flashes from Peterson and Walsh, but it feels like it's going to be more Kornet, Queta in games like this than it is Walsh and Peterson.
Absolutely. I mean, those two guys are both more proven at this point than either of those backup wings. I mean, Queta and Luke they're Boston players. There's no Maine in their rotation anymore. Jordan and Drew were in Maine this past weekend. I think they're both still more in that player development stage. So it's nice when they can be in Boston to actually get some run, but they're not guys that there's a shot. At least I don't think at this point that they would play any playoff minutes. And the jury's still out on how much Luke and Nimi would play in the playoffs. I think we don't really know. Whether they've been more regular season guys, but I have more faith that they would be able to step into that role right now than I do either of the backup wings, for sure.
Couple updates too. Jason Tatum's going to go through practice tomorrow, so we'll see if he's back for Sunday. He's had some on and off knee stuff, but it's not a major concern. Joe Mazzulla said before the game. Sam Hauser did go through shoot-around this morning. Looked decent in his workout that we saw after, but didn't end up playing tonight with the adductor strain.